Okay, everyone, so today we're going to talk about something that is difficult for a lot of parents, even myself, and that is the issue of time management on a screen. So we're going to look at the easiest ways to manage this. It's not the ideal way. One thing that I always hear parents tell me is, I just want to give them a block of time, not specific hours a day. We're going to look at one way to do that. We're also going to look at how to do it by blocks. We're going to look at how to do this for all devices. At the router level. We're also going to look at how to do this in Windows today. Unfortunately, we won't be doing it from Mac today. I'll do that in a separate video. So let's get started. So first thing we're going to look at here is the how to do this via the router home wide. Now I use Asus routers. I like them because I use some software here called Asus Merlin. And Asus Merlin is awesome. I just did a recent experiment where I tried numerous types of WRT firmwares, and to do what this one does with simple point and click without me having to drop to the command prompt and start running in SSH commands and things of that nature, this is awesome. And here's all the routers it works with, from very inexpensive to very expensive in the $400 range. It's your choice. I like these routers. So with the Merlin software installed, we get a lot of features. So we get parental controls, and looking at those for parental controls, if we turn those on, we notice have a couple of devices here. We have my daughter's laptop, and we have an iPad, and they are associated with these numbers, and it even shows an example here. This is the client name or MAC address of the client. So if we look at MAC address stands for Media Access Controller. There it is. And Media Access Controllers are the first three segments here are your manufacturer, the last three are an address, and I'm not going to get into all the specifics of that, but to find your media access control address or your MAC address, also called your physical address, you're going to find your network icon here, whether it's Windows 7 or Windows 8, whether it's wireless or, wired here, as mine are, and we're going to go to Open Network and Sharing Center. Once there, we're going to click on Change Adapter Settings. Once we do that, we're going to find our active network. For mine, it's this one. Yours may be wireless. That's fine. Right-click on it and go to Status. Once you do that, you're going to see some stuff here, and you're going to see Details. Click Details, and you'll see your physical address right here. That's the quickest, clicky way to do it without having you run a bunch of commands, because I want to make this as easy as possible on people. So that physical address is what we would plug in these numbers. So you'd have to write that down or screenshot it, however you want to do that. Write those numbers into here, and then you would add it in the router. Once you do that, I'm just going to edit this one to show you what it looks like. You'll get something that looks like this. And it's just a simply 24-hour clock with allow and deny. If I want to allow you to be on the internet, I just highlight some boxes. If I want to deny you to be on the internet during those times, I make sure the boxes are this color. And that's it. It's that simple. Done. The next thing that this parental control allows me to do is also for some DNS filtering. There's a service called OpenDNS. It is free, and it allows you to filter or limit what people can see on the internet based on DNS. And DNS is basically a naming service. So, when you go to a website, they usually are associated with some number. Like, you notice your routers usually are like 192.168.1.1 or .0.1 or some number like that. Well, we don't want to surf a bunch of numbers on the internet. We want to go to a name like a Google or a Yahoo or a Bing or something like that. So there's this naming service, which is a translation service, which basically maps those names to numbers, and that's known as DNS. So basically, with the OpenDNS software, we say, hey, if it matches these names, let's not go there. And it blocks that. So basically with the DNS software, I can turn that on and force specific devices to use that OpenDNS software. No matter if they change it locally, whatever they do, they're forced to use that software. And that's very awesome, and I like it a lot. So trying to get this to work properly in the DDWRT software was making me have more gray hair. So I decided to stick with the Asus software for the time being. So that's how to do this anyway for time management for all devices, whether it's an iPad, an iPod, a laptop, an Android device, whatever. You can add it via their MAC address, and then boom, limit to specific hours. Now, let's look at some ways to do this in Windows. So I don't know which version of Windows you're running, but if you're running Windows 7, 8, 8.1, this all works the same way. And if you're running those, we're going to create a new account. Now this is going to be a standard user. To do this, create an account, we're just going to go here to the search area here and say user. And you'll see I have user accounts. So I can click on that, it'll bring this up, and then I can just create an account. It'll all be here. I can just say manage another account and then create a new account, which is what I'm doing now. So I'm going to call this account child, and they are a standard user. I'm going to create that account. Now I'm going to select child here once that's done, and I'm going to set up parental controls. So now that that's done, I can now edit those parental controls. So, you know, what can I do with them? Things of that nature. So now we can actually go and set these up. So we have game rating systems, etc., etc. You can click your help here. It'll kind of tell you what all you can do with those. But let's show you. So let's manage these. Let's set up these controls for the child. So the first thing we're going to do is, how do we want to do this? Well, we want to turn them on, and we want to enforce these settings. So there's time limits, there's game ratings, and program limits. So if we say time limits, it's the same type of scenario. We can allow or block specific time frames. This is in Windows. Now, we did that at the router, so I find this to be very duplicitous and not really serve me very well. Game ratings, we can turn on game ratings. Can they play games? Can they not play games? This is games in the Windows Store, things of that nature. That doesn't necessarily limit Minecraft. And then, do I want to set the ratings for it? And I can block or allow. This is mainly tied to Microsoft games in the store. Program limits. So this is a different one. They can only use specific programs. So they can use all programs or specific ones. So I can say they can only use the ones that I allow. It's going to try to search the computer, find all the programs. Then I can just check or uncheck the boxes. And then they will only be allowed to use those programs. And that's pretty cool stuff. If you can't find the program, which you may not be able to do for Minecraft, because Minecraft's basically just using Java, you can browse for it, and then you can find the Java file, and you can go from there. Here's all these pieces of software that's on here. You can select whatever. It looks a little daunting, but there's tons of different things out there. So for example, this Java W, that's your Minecraft. So I can select that and boom. What if I only want them to use, you know, Internet Explorer or things of that nature? Then I can just select those and go from there. So they're all here. And those are Android emulators. If you want to allow your kid to use those, if you want to do ARM emulation or MIPS emulation, because I play with too much stuff. But anyway, that's how we would set that up on the Windows 7 system. And then once we're done, we're done. Okay, everyone, so we're going to look at how to do this in Windows 10 now. And this is one thing that is frustrating for me, but they do offer a lot more flexibility. So what you're going to have to do is, when you set up most Windows 10 machines, they ask you to create an online account. If you've done that, then you've done a lot of the work already. If not, you'll need to create an account for your child. I'm not going to cover creating the account. That's pretty self-explanatory, and Microsoft walks you through the steps. But once you've done that, they're going to ask you to sign in. So once you sign in here, I'm already signed in, you're going to see your child here. And once you see your child, you can go to more, and you can actually look at their information. And I'm going to click on recent activity. So once we do this, we're going to see all types of stuff here. We're going to see web browsing, apps, games, and media, screen time, and we're going to see a lot of flexibility here. So for example, if we wanted to block websites, apps, and games, if we want to set allowed times for screen, all that is here. And some really cool stuff here. So for example, if for time, since this video is specifically about time, I'm going to click this on here, and I can actually set time limits. So I can say you can only use this machine complete for 4 hours a day. That's it. You can only use this computer for everything 4 hours a day. Now, we homeschool, and we use the computer for school, and that may take longer, it may take shorter. So, and you know, kids like to take advantage of that to say, well, I need more time and stuff like that. So, I mean, this is something you kind of have to work through. But this is a way that you could do that. I'm going to turn that off. I do most of my filtering through OpenDNS, as I talked about earlier in the video, so I'm not going to do a lot of that, but you can actually do some logging. You can block here, and you can also track recent activities. So, and you can have them email reports to you. So you can have all the web browsing that they do, any games they turn on, all this type of stuff. Really cool stuff there. So, and that's that. So this is how you would configure it, set it up, and this applies across all devices that your kid logs in on. So if they have a Microsoft tablet, they have a Microsoft phone, Windows phone, but this only applies to Windows 10 and devices running that, as well as the new Windows Mobile OS for the Windows phones. But that's how we're going to do this for Windows machines and set up some basic time management. I hope this is helpful to you.